Noor was a young man living in a fantasy world who was pretty strong for his age and very well liked by everyone in the town. He worked a job requiring manual labor, but even his boss was impressed by his work and never said a word against him, as he was the best worker that he ever saw. One such day, after taking his daily wage, he was about to head back when he suddenly hears the voice of a woman screaming for help coming from a nearby cave. He immediately rushes over even after his boss tells him not to, as it could be dangerous. His mom was sickly and mostly bedridden, so he made hot soup for her to drink while covered in soot and later that night he prepares a hearty rabbit stew for his mom, but when he comes back to feed her, she has already passed away from this world. Now poor Noor had him after thoroughly cleaning it. He trained his body by catching wild fish, carrying heavy loads on the mountains, and eating lots of protein every day. One night, due to loneliness, he climbs on top of a chair and takes out an old dusty storybook and starts reading it. This takes him way back, as he remembers the time when his family was whole. Forest at night with a campfire, and by the next morning he arrives at the beautiful city of his kingdom. He enters the giant main gate and is completely blown away to see the amount to the Adventurers Guild. He enters the establishment to find a big burly man at the reception instead of a thick furry girl. Disappointed, he tells the man that he is here to be an adventurer, but the man brushes him off by saying that this is no place for kids, and every other student starts awakening their magical potential. Noor still says without any magical abilities. He keeps practicing and several months pass by, after which the instructor tells him that he doesn't have the talent and is wasting his time here. He tells him to join a different school but gets rejected as he has no talent for it. He then goes to become a magician but fails even in that, so finally decides to become a healer, but fails and returns back disappointing months at every school. He didn't learn a single thing and tells him that unfortunately there is nothing he can do to become an adventurer. Disappointed in himself, Noor leaves this, not going to admit he keeps training endlessly to the point where his sword breaks. 14 years pass by as he realizes that in these past years he has trained every single day and is now able to parry 1,000 swords at once without fail. Despite putting this much hard work, he doesn't gain any new skills, but still decides to head over to the Adventurers Guild once more. This time he meets with a young girl who looks at his skill set, only to advise him to visit the training school. Noor tells him that he would really want to do that. To his surprise, Noor immediately carrying heavy loads, finding lost cats, and keeps training every single night. He also takes nursing jobs and takes care of old people by cooking for them. While doing all this, he keeps training and seems to be happy working as an adventurer who can actually help people. Walks towards the adventurers and smashes the leader with his axe, who flies into the wall. Noor quickly checks him, only to find out that he is dead. He looks back to see the other guys getting skewered by the bull as he kills every single person in the area effortlessly. Before moving his eyes onto the white-haired girl, Noor parries with all his might, which deflects the axe so much that it bounces back and chops the head of the bull cleanly before as blood his sword, which shatters and jabber how close of a call it was. The girl immediately thanks him for saving her life and jabber his name. But Noor replies that his name isn't worth remembering. A man named Dar enters and asks whether she is fine and details about what happened here. The news about the attack reaches her brother Ray, who is completely shocked to find out that her sister was attacked. Supposed to stay in the innermost depths of the dungeons. Dar bows down and answers that this was definitely an recently bought from a merchant. He claims that the ring got tested by a magician, and he revealed that it had a monostone of 90% purity, which is extremely hard to find. And that was the reason why the Minotaur attacked. He believes the Manastone was cursed by the neighboring enemy kingdom of Derry, who is known for practicing dark magic. Ray agrees with this assumption, as lately Derry's army on Lynn without even trying to hide it, proves that they want a war. Ray then asks Dar about the man who saved Lynn's life, but Dar claims that they killed the Minotaur with his broadsword in a matter of minutes, but escaped quickly afterwards without even telling his name to Lynn. The next morning, Noor goes into the guild as if nothing happened when the fatty immediately walks up to him asking if he is fine. Noor seems confused, so Fatty explains that last night a deadly monster emerged in the caves near his construction site, and that's why he was worried. He thought it must be a low-level cow monster since he managed to defeat it. The fatty tells Noor that he is lucky that he left beforehand, because even a ranked adventurer like him couldn't have done anything against such a strong beast. Noor wipes the dirt from his face and wonders what kind of monster could it be that even a ranked adventurer is scared of it, and then thanks the god that he only faced off against a giant cow. Noor asks what happened to the monster, and Fatty replies that some mystery man ended up killing the beast in a single blow, which really shocks Noor as he wonders how strong that man must be to kill such a monster. not realizing that he is the man Fatty is talking about. Later, Fatty gives him his pay for the day, but tells him to get a real job as well, otherwise he won't be able to earn much. Before he could reply though, a hooded figure appears behind him and calls him out. Noor turns around only to find the white-haired girl he saved yesterday, and asks how did she find him. She apologizes for following him, but claims that she used her long-distance detection skill to find him. He asks whether she learnt it from the thief schools, but she claims that she is from the magician branch, but has equal skills in all the 6 branches. Lin notices that she is drawing way too much attention and asks Noor whether they can talk somewhere more private. But before he could reply, Fatty grabs him and asks what the hell did he do. Noor replies that he didn't do anything wrong, while Lin deploys a soundproof barrier and asks him to come with her. They both exit the guild and walk through the streets to a desolate area, where she tells him that she really wanted to thank him as not only did he save her life, but he also saved the life of a lot of citizens. Noor still doesn't know how strong he is, so he claims that she is so talented, and he must have ruined her plans by butting his head in between. She tells him that it's not true. In fact, if he didn't come to her aid, she would have probably died there. She then claims that she wants to reward him for his help, but Noor immediately replies that her gratitude is enough. Lin, however, is not so easily pushed away, and she tells him that she is a person of status here, and even her father would like to thank him personally. He again refuses, which shocks Lin, who has no idea why a man would refuse a reward from a noble. She asks whether there is anything troubling him, and even claims that her father will give him a lot of land if he wants it. But Noor keeps rejecting her offers. He tells her that he doesn't need anything from her, which makes her tear up, as she feels obligated to repay him for his help. She tells him that she won't move from this place till he accepts her gratitude, which reminds him of the time when he did the same to one of the instructors of the healing school branch. He finally gives in and agrees to meet with her father, but refuses to take any over-the-top rewards. This makes her happy enough, and she uses magic to conceal both herself and him as they walk through the city back to her mansion. When they finally reach her house, Noor is completely shocked, as he has never seen such a big and lavish place. They walk by the guards and enter inside, while Noor wonders whether this girl is a noble if she is so rich. On the way, they end up running into her personal guard Ani, who looks at him suspiciously and asks who he is. Lin tells her that this is the man who saved her life, and she immediately softens up, claiming that she will take them to the Lord. They follow Ani through the gallery when Noor spots a guy wearing yellow armor waiting by the window, and he immediately jumps into action, spinning his lance before pointing it towards Noor, asking who the hell he is. Ani tells him to back off as he is Lin's guest, but this Pikachu-looking asshat ends up making fun of Noor for looking poor. Ini introduces him as Gil and asks him to accompany them into the room, as she still doesn't fully trust Noor. They wait outside the hall as Lin's father Clay was talking to his son about the chances of war increasing, as they remember the last time they met with the King of Derry, who ended up insulting them and threatened to wage war against them if they didn't give them access to all the dungeons in their kingdom. Soon the door opens and they all enter the hall, and while both Ini and Gil drop to one knee in front of their lord, but Noor has no clue who the man seated on the high seat is, so he simply walks ahead without a single care alongside Lin. She introduces him to her father, claiming that this is the man that saved her life, and immediately the lord got up from his seat and moved towards Noor, thanking him for saving the life of his girl. Noor tells him that he is not a noble and has never talked to nobles before, so he doesn't know how to properly behave. But the lord doesn't seem to mind, as he laughs and shakes his hand, before asking him to choose anything that he wants for a reward. Noor immediately declines, claiming that he neither wants land nor gold. The lord seems confused but tells him that if he wants, he can have half the treasure of the oldest dungeons in the world that falls in their kingdom. Ray advises against it, as the treasure is worth more than a small country's GDP. But to their surprise, Noor refuses it as well, claiming that he doesn't want any kind of gift from them. The lord looked confused as to what sort of man would refuse such a gift. He then walks over to his seat and takes out the giant black sword behind it, which used to be his personal weapon during his adventuring days. Ray seems a bit worried, but his father tells him that it's fine, as the sword should be used in battlefield and not kept as a decoration. He hands it over to Noor, who grabs the handle and immediately realizes that the weapon is heavier than anything that he has ever used. Noor thinks that it is just a random second-hand sword, so he decides to accept it as a gift, as he wanted all of this to end quickly so he could go back to work. The lord asks him to swing it once, and to his surprise, Noor simply used one hand to swing the sword so strongly that it created wind blast around them. Noor looks at the lord and tells him that it's a bit heavy, but he will manage, which makes Clay laugh as he can't believe this man just swung a two-handed great sword with a single hand. Clay asks whether he would like to train Lin a little bit as it is getting very dangerous nowadays, which puts a smile on the girl's face, but Noor immediately declines, claiming that there is nothing he could teach her and decides to leave. On the way through their gallery, he looks at the sword once again and realizes that it is the same size as the drainage ditch, which means that he can use it to scoop out dirt from the ditch much more efficiently. Before he could leave though, he gets stopped by Gil, who puts a lance to his face, telling Noor that he wants to see whether he is worthy of that sword, while Noor wonders whether he will ever be able to leave this mansion to get back to work or not. Gil leads Noor through a hallway, and Noor wonders where is he being taken, because he just wants to go back to work. To his surprise, Gil brings him to a training arena for a mock duel between them. This shocks Noor, because he has not sparred with anyone since his days in training school. Gil picks up a wooden pole for practice, and he reveals that he is quite famous in the capital, and then asks Noor to choose his weapon as well. Noor thinks this is an excellent chance to learn from a veteran, and he chooses a regular wooden sword. He doesn't think he will be much of an opponent to Gil, but he is still planning to give it his all. Gil attacks first, thrusting his staff at Noor, who easily dodges his attacks. He can see how effortless and efficient Gil's moves are, which reveals how much he has trained, but for some reason, he appears to be moving very slow to Noor. He believes that Gil is just holding back his strength out of consideration for a noob like him. Noor calls a timeout and tells Gil that he doesn't need to hold back to such an extent, so Gil decides to get serious with him. He launches his attacks at a much higher intensity this time, but it is not fast enough to overwhelm Noor, who finds openings in Gil's defense every time he misses an attack. On the other hand, Gil is frustrated that his strikes are not connecting with Noor, so he decides to use a complex attack where he changes his trajectory at the last moment, forcing Noor to jump, and then uses it as a chance to strike him down just as he lands. However, despite all that, Noor is able to dodge his attack, and he asks Gil to increase the pace even more because he is comfortable with the current intensity. Gil was already using his full abilities, so hearing those words hurt his ego. Noor also finally realizes that he might actually be stronger than Gil. But then suddenly, the elite guard uses his special move on Noor. The attack reaches dangerously close, but when the dust settles, Noor is not in front of Gil. He had dodged the attack and moved to the side. But after seeing the destructive power of Gil's attack, he immediately declares that he no longer wishes to fight. Noor leaves the palace with that. But his skill has caused an uproar among other knights, who can't believe that he could dodge their captain's special attack. Some of them believe that Noor only survived because Gil was holding a practice spear. Otherwise, a genius like him could easily defeat anyone he wants to. Hearing those words take the depressed Gil down the memory lane. He was always talented with the spear and traveled all around the kingdom seeking powerful people and defeating them. There was no one who could even give him a proper challenge, and Gil got bored. He went to the capital and joined the knights so that he could fight monsters since they were stronger than humans. However, even monsters were no match for his strength and skill, and his boredom persisted. Then one day, as he was lazing around, the master of the sword school came to see him, because he was the one who trained him in the early days. Gil ranted out about how boring it is to be so strong, and wished there were more people as strong as the master so that he could have fun fighting them. The master only told him that someday, someone who will surpass him will emerge among his students, and Gil hoped that the person makes his appearance while he is still alive, because that may be the only way to relieve his boredom. Now, as Gil thinks about the man who killed a minotaur with a single strike, his mind is full of conflicting thoughts. He knew from the first moment that Noor was an interesting person, but he couldn't sense anything remarkable about his strength. However, when they sparred, he found that Noor was much stronger than he looked. When Noor told him to go even faster, he used his special attack on him that was even faster than the speed of sound, knowing full well that no human can survive it. When Noor dodged the attack, Gil felt defeated, and to top that off, Noor ended the fight with that. Gil believes that he did so to not embarrass him in front of his troops, and before going, he told him that he was looking forward to their next meeting, which was Noor's way of telling him to get stronger. Now, Gil thinks that he has finally found someone who can make his life a bit more fun. On the other hand, Noor has no idea how highly Gil rates him. He used his body strengthening and feather step skill earlier to evade his ultimate attack at the last moment, and if he was only 1 moment late, he would have died. He thinks Gil adjusted the speed of his attack on purpose so that he could only barely dodge it, and he is grateful to him for showing him that he still needs a lot of training. The next day, Noor begins cleaning drains using the treasured sword he received from the king, and he is absolutely stunned by how good the sword performs. Later, he is sitting in the forest because his job at the construction site was suspended because of the Minotaur incident. He wonders how can he kill time till the job is available again. And he also wants to put the huge sword to good use. He thinks that it may make a splendid oar, or a pizza shovel, or even a grill plate. But he lacks the resources to get other items needed to start those businesses. He tries using his fire magic, and thinks that it is too weak to be any good for starting a barbecue. He hears footsteps behind him and turns around to find Lin there, who has come looking for him specifically. Nor asks how can he help her, and Lin requests him to let her be his apprentice so that she can learn from him while serving him. She is eager to serve him with anything he wants, but Nor refuses, saying that he cannot teach her anything, and he is self-sufficient in everything. Lin tries offering him a monetary reward for his training, but Nor clearly tells her that he wants nothing. She keeps insisting that she will be helpful to him, and Nor fails to clearly get his point through to her. To prove that she is qualified to learn from him, Lin decides to show off her magic power. She creates icicle lances and shoots them towards herself, and then burns them off using a powerful fire spell. Next, she cuts down a huge tree with a small dagger using another skill, and then uses a magic sword skill to blast a tree behind Nor. She is confident that Nor will accept her as his apprentice with this display, but he still refuses to do so. He has now realized that Lin is rating him too high, and wonders how can he convince her that he is nothing compared to her. He decides to show her his skill, and creates a tiny fireball to prove to her that he is a loser, and Lin is shocked to see it. She begins walking home with that and thinks about the tale of the talentless boy that all the teachers used to narrate. That time, Lin used to think of just a cautionary tale, because she didn't think that any 12-year-old boy could endure the harsh training of all 6 schools for full term when even seasoned warriors found it hard to stay there for so long. One day, the strongest magician who runs the magic school showed her his tiny fire skill, and then increased its size to show off his mastery. The magician said that it takes decades of practice to increase the size of the tiny flame skill. That is why, when Nor showed Lin his tiny fire today, she was left speechless, because it was much larger than the strongest magician in the world. He told her that this is all he can manage, and his skill in other branches is at the same level as well. Only Lin knew that the size of the small fire spoke lengths about Nor's ability, and she concluded that he was a peerless master in the other branches as well. Now, she is ashamed that she was proud of her high-level skills that she just learned recently. She thinks that despite being exponentially stronger than her, Nor never boasts about his power, and he does even the most mundane tasks to help others. She thinks that Nor's mind and character as strong as his body, and he cannot be fazed by anything. As the princess, she will have to lead the kingdom alongside her brother one day, and for that, she needs to be strong. She wants to learn how to become strong from Nor, and for that reason, she once again reaches out to him just as he is coming out from a restaurant after having dinner. Lin tells him that she fully understands how immature and vain she was, and now she wants to learn from him even more. She believes that his strength will become the foundation of their kingdom's peace and prosperity, so she has accepted him as her master. However, Nor is deeply troubled by it, and he just wants to go home. Meanwhile, Lin's elder brother Ray is in his office, wondering why his father chose to give away the legendary black sword to a complete stranger. He recalls how his father ventured into the dungeon in his youth along with the masters of the 6 job schools. After a very long exploration, he obtained the Black Blade, which was instantly regarded as their most valuable artifact. It was made with an unknown metal that was harder than anything else they knew about. It was practically indestructible with neither physical attacks nor magic managing to scratch it. However, everyone wondered how could such a powerful sword be in a terrible condition. Ray believes that the value of the Black Blade far surpasses any treasure they have, and it is not something his father would give to a man he did not see something special in. He knows that his dad can sense the dangers that are starting to envelop their kingdom, and he probably entrusted the sword to Nor to say that he is pining all the hope to save the kingdom on his shoulders. Even Ray believes that Nor is not an ordinary person, and when time comes, he will become their trump card. At the same time, Nor is in the city, eating a delicious meal from a roadside stall, with Lin by his side. She has completely gotten into the role of his apprentice, and he wants to tell her that he is not worth being her teacher. He thinks that if they head to the guild, she will see how pathetic he is and stop following him around. Once they reach the guild, the fatty immediately questions Nor why is he with a princess. Nor says that it is complicated, so Fatty decides to let them have their privacy, even though Nor badly wants some advice from him. Fatty then asks them what they want, and Nor says that they would like a commission for 2 people. Since Lin is a B-rank adventurer, Fatty says that if she joins a party with Nor, they can go outside the city to hunt goblins. Nor is flabbergasted on hearing this, because he has only heard stories about how real adventurers use goblins as their practice dummies. He can't believe that the day he finally does the same has come, but then he realizes that he is taking advantage of Lin's high rank even though he wanted her to leave him alone just now. Nor finds Lin staring at him, so he feels terrible and thinks that she has seen how greedy and shameless he is. She asks him if anything is wrong, and he asks if she is fine with this arrangement because he is relying on her rank. Lin has no problem with that, and she tells Nor that he is free to use anything that belongs to her. Nor feels a little pathetic, but he doesn't care because he can live out his dream finally. He marches out of the guild with determination, but then Fatty calls him back because he doesn't even know where the goblins are. Fatty completes the paperwork and then tells Nor not to push his luck because even if goblins are low-level monsters, they can still be dangerous. He points out their location on the map and remarks that lately their numbers have decreased. He asks Nor to collect right ears of the goblins he kills for his reward, and then sends him off. Nor and Lin enter the Forest of Beasts, and Nor is surprised because he has never seen this part of the forest before. He tells Lin about how trees are different in the south where he comes from, and she gives him a brief lecture about ecosystem. Nor then asks her about goblins, and Lin says that they are small monsters who prey on fruits and small creatures, but their numbers increase quite rapidly. If the numbers increase beyond a limit, the forest can no longer supply them with fruit, so they attack human settlements. That is why the Adventurer Guild sends people to keep their number on the low side, but forbids them from being wiped out because goblins are beneficial for the ecosystem too. Nor is impressed by Lin's knowledge, and thinks that he has even less he can teach her. They keep walking towards the denser parts of the forest, but even with her detection skills, Lin cannot find any trace of goblins. However, she senses something at a distance and tells Nor that they should check it out. The deeper they go into the forest, the darker it becomes, and the mist surrounding them also begins to thicken. Once they reach the spot where Lin had sensed the monster, they find nothing. She remarks that the presence of the monster simply vanished, but Nor senses something unusual in the rustling of the leaves. He looks ahead and finds the half-eaten body of a goblin floating in the air, and it suddenly falls to the ground. Lin immediately uses a spell to uncover whoever is behind it, and a huge green monster with a red crystal on his forehead becomes visible. Nor is shocked and asks who is this cousin of the Incredible Hulk, and she tries telling him that it is a goblin emperor. However, she stutters, and Nor only hears that the monster is a goblin. He freaks out, thinking that this is the normal size of a goblin, and if real adventurers can use them as practice material, they must be really amazing. The Goblin Emperor uproots trees with his bare hands and roars loudly, terrifying Lin. She knows that even a Goblin King is a Calamity-class monster that is not easy to deal with, and the Goblin Emperor is leagues stronger than it. She knows that Goblin Emperor is not a natural monster, but an artificial one, which is created through taboo experiments. She is terrified of it, and Nor thinks that even though she is powerful, she must never have fought monsters before. He tells her not to worry about anything, because their opponent is just a goblin. His words give her courage, and she thinks that maybe Nor predicted that a monster of this level was already here, which is why he was so excited to come here. She takes her stance next to him, certain that she can defeat the Goblin Emperor alongside her teacher. The Goblin Emperor charges at them with a tree trunk in each arm. Nor blocks his first attack and parries it, and manages to parry the second attack too. After that, the Goblin Emperor tries to push him into a corner with brute force, but Nor still overwhelms it with a parry. This disbalances the goblin, and Lin tries hitting it with wind and ice magic, but the goblin is remarkably agile and dodges all her attacks. The Goblin Emperor yeets a tree towards her, but Nor parries it. He asks Lin if she is fine, and she tells him to keep his attention on the goblin who is throwing more trees towards him. Nor continues to parry them, but he is getting tired now. Lin notices that whatever little injuries the Goblin Emperor is receiving are healing unnaturally fast, and she believes that the red mana stone on its forehead is the reason behind that. Suddenly, the Goblin Emperor throws 3 trees towards Nor at once, and he panics because he won't be able to parry all of them at once. Luckily, Lin comes in clutch with a powerful wind magic that blows away all the trees. Her attack damaged the goblin, but it heals from the injuries instantly. Now Lin is certain that they need to get the Mana Stone out of its head to defeat it, but Nor doesn't think they can manage to do that. Suddenly, he gets an idea, and he asks Lin to shoot the powerful wind magic from earlier at his back. She warns him that the spell is powerful enough to tear castle walls, but Nor plans to take the blow using his black blade so that he can accelerate towards the Goblin Emperor faster than it can react. Lin agrees and shoots his back with the powerful wind blast. Nor is sent speeding ahead, and despite using the physical enhancement skill, he still breaks a bone. He dodges the tree thrown at him by the goblin, and then quickly heals himself, before jumping high up to deliver the finishing blow. The Goblin Emperor tries attacking him with a tree, but Nor's powerful strike cuts through the tree and hits the Mana Stone on the goblin's head. The Mana Stone pops out of its socket and the goblin screeches in pain as Nor is sent rolling on the ground. He gets up and sees the goblin writhing in pain, and then Lin comes to him with the Mana Stone she has safely retrieved. Nor then asks her if she can deal with the goblin by herself now, and she accepts his request. He doesn't feel good to see the suffering monster, so he asks Lin to make it as peaceful as possible. She affirms, and then ironically proceeds to burn the Goblin Emperor to death. Nor pays the monster his sympathies, and then thinks that he has had enough of goblin hunting for a while. He thinks that he is still too weak to even face fodder-level monsters, so he should train harder before coming to the forest again. Later, the secret agents serving Ray bring the Mana Stone to him and report him about the Goblin Emperor case. Just by seeing the purity and size of the Mana Stone, Ray knows that it is the work of the Magic Empire. He also learns that Lin and Nor managed to defeat the enormously powerful monster with just a few scratches. However, what shocks him the most is how could a huge monster like that be brought into their kingdom without their guards and secret service noticing it. He asks his agents to look out on such irregularities across the nearby cities and dismisses them. At the same time, Nor and Lin are reporting to Fatty as the guild, who asks Nor how he feels after his first monster hunt. Nor is still holding fast to the belief that he just fought a normal goblin, so he tells Fatty that it was harder than he thought it would be, and they only won thanks to Lin. She becomes a fan of his modesty, and Fatty also thinks that Nor just watched from behind while the princess fought the goblin. He gets a bit suspicious on hearing about the red Mana Stone on its forehead, and asks if it was really a goblin. Nor turns to Lin for confirmation, and she replies that since her teacher called it a goblin, it was just that and nothing more. Fatty is content with thinking that it was a rare monster, and then asks them to hand the proof of their kill. Nor and Lin suddenly realize that they forgot to collect the goblin's ear before burning it whole. Soon after that, Ray gets reports of odd things happening in nearby cities and villages. In some places, people are hearing strange sounds at night and animals are cowering in fear as they return from the forest, while in other places, the number of disappearing pets is increasing as the forests nearby have suddenly gotten more silent. Ray believes that this could be the sign of unnatural monsters who have snuck into their kingdom. He immediately orders his men to send search parties to each of the locations and put everyone with detection spells at work. He also orders them to summon the 6 masters of each school, because they may need their help. Once his subordinates are gone, Ray shows his frustration as he throws the papers in the air, wondering if the Magic Empire really wants their dungeon so badly that it is going to such lengths. On the other hand, Nor and Lin are enjoying some street food with their reward money. Ultimately, Fatty gave them the money for slaying one goblin without proof out of his pocket because it was Nor's first conquest mission. After they are done eating, Lin tells Nor that she will be heading home now, and he is relieved that he is finally going to get some peace. Just then, Ray comes there looking for his sister. As he sees Nor, he immediately makes a request, asking him to visit a town in the mountains tomorrow morning. He says that Lin will also join him, and he will make all the arrangements as well as pay him a good fee. Ray doesn't reveal the exact business he has in that town, but Nor accepts it because he seems earnest. The next day, he rides the carriage that will take them to their destination. Riding a carriage for the first time in his life was the main reason Nor accepted Ray's quest, and he enjoys every moment of it. On the other hand, Lin appears quite gloomy, and he asks her if she is not interested in the beautiful scenery outside. His attention goes back outside, and he thinks that once he becomes a proper adventurer, he will leave the city to travel. Lin suddenly apologizes for her brother pulling him into this, but he tells her that it is fine because he is getting paid for it. This spoils Lin's mood even further. This morning, Ray had explained that their mission was to go into the town of Tauros on the other side of the mountain, and if nothing happened after staying there for a while, they should head to their neighboring country, the Holy Kingdom of Mithra. He told Noor that as long as nothing happens, he can consider it as a paid vacation. Now, as Lin thinks about that, she wishes that nothing really happens. Her bodyguard Ani tells her that she doesn't need to worry about anything because she is here to protect her. The truth is, Ray gave her a top secret mission before going. He said that their kingdom is going to face a great danger soon, and if it falls, Ani should take Lin and seek shelter in the country of Mithra. Ani was shocked and asked if Lin knows about this, and Ray revealed that he had not told her anything because she would surely oppose it. He was really concerned about Lin's safety and told Ani that she was the only one he could trust with that. Back to the present, the group is taking a break and Ani apologizes to Noor for dragging him into this. She promises to keep him safe, but he tells her that there is no need for it because he is good at running away. Ani insists, saying that there will be no need to run because she has her shield with her. Noor says that he can't see anything, so Ani decides to show her abilities to him. She creates a holy shield with her special ability and tells Noor that if anything happens, he should hide behind the shield. He is impressed and then recalls how Lin was saying that Ani is on the same level as the spear user Gil he fought. He has heard that Gil is strong enough to defeat a dragon. And if Ani is on the same level as him, Noor thinks that they are too strong compared to someone like him who struggled fighting a mere goblin. He thanks Ani, saying that he is really talented. But those words remind her of her childhood. She lived in an orphanage, and one day, she suddenly activated her power. Her friend was curious about it and tried touching it, only to get her finger cut. The caretakers called the principal, and soon, the magician master, the redhead warrior, and the priest came to the orphanage as well. They asked Ani to show her abilities, and the magician declared that it was a gift from heaven, which only the rarest people can receive. He told the young Ani that her power could be a blade that could cut through anything or a shield that could block any attack depending on how she used it. Ani was bothered by these heavy words, but the redhead warrior told her that he would train her to use her power correctly. He took her in as a student, and while Ani trained her ability with him, she kept distancing herself from everyone in the orphanage out of fear of hurting them. However, that was only till she met Noor and learned his name. She had heard that name a lot from the redhead warrior, who was her master as well as adoptive father. One day, as they were hunting monsters in the forest, another warrior told the redhead that a huge group of monsters is approaching them. The redhead was lost in thought, and he mumbled that he wished Noor was here at times like this. Ani was curious to know about the person her father acknowledged, but more than that, she was jealous of him. Ever since she met Noor, her jealousy has gotten worse, and she wants to shake that feeling off so that she can protect Lin without any weakness. Just then, Noor notices something moving through the wheat fields and leaving a strange trail. As soon as Lin hears this, she asks the carriage to be stopped. She uses her magic to reveal whatever is hiding in the field, and it turns out to be a huge frog-bat hybrid monster. At the same time, numerous monsters attack the capital at once, and Ray commands to deploy the warriors, swordsmen and hunters to hunt as many as they can, while the thieves are to help the civilians evacuate. King Clay recalls the words of Emperor Derry, who told him that they would regret not accepting his conditions. He believes that Derry is behind this attack, and Ray agrees. He believes that this might just be the starting, and they should get ready for much worse attacks. Clay asks him about the 6 masters, and Ray replies that all of them are already deployed to face powerful monsters. While the redhead warrior and his troops face against 3 goblin emperors in the forest, the sword master hunts down lizard monsters in the city. The hunters, magicians, healers, and thieves are also at work, but the king fears that they have spread them out too thin. On the other hand, just as Lin uncovers the concealment spell on the black dragon, it attacks the girl in front of him. Lin and Ani recognize the monster as the Black Death Dragon. That is incredibly dangerous, but Noor charges towards it without wasting a moment to protect the girl. He parries the dragon's strikes with his black blade, and Ani remarks that the girl also appeared out of nowhere just as Lin broke the concealment spell around the dragon. Lin knows that it can mean only one thing. The girl is definitely a demon with power to control monsters. Her brother had once told her about demons, who look like humans, but their powers and nature are closer to monsters. He told her that demons are a vile race who destroyed an entire kingdom once, and because of that, humans hunted them down. Their descendants still live on, and Ray was certain that they must hold deep grudges against humans. Back to the present, Ani believes that the girl is definitely a demon who brought the dragon to the city. When Lin used her spell, it must have caught the girl by surprise, and when her control over the dragon was weakened just for a second, it attacked her. Ani believes that they should not save someone like her, but Noor rushed to help her even without thinking about it. As she sees him still fighting against the dragon, she wonders what is he thinking. Lin says that in any case, they need to help Noor, but Ini stops her, saying that it is already too late for him. Noor thinks that the dragon is quite slow and weak compared to the goblin he fought, and he thinks that if he just buys time, Lin will help him out. Suddenly, the dragon shoots its breath at him, and Noor decides to parry it because the girl will get hit if dodges. However, that was the worst mistake he could make as the attack explodes, releasing a very powerful poison in the air. Noor immediately starts vomiting black blood, and the bloody tears start flowing from his eyes too. He realizes that he was just hit by an incredibly deadly poison, and it seems too late because he has started to lose consciousness. He falls to the ground, and Lin tries to reach him, but Ini blocks her way with a barrier, saying that she will only get herself killed if she goes near the Black Death Dragon. She creates a barrier by combining her shields, hoping to keep Lin safe till she gets to safety. Lin requests her to let her help Noor, but Ini refuses because her greatest priority is to protect the princess. The dragon suddenly launches another round of poison breath, and Ini immediately adds more shields to her barrier. She tells the princess to focus solely on her survival, but Lin still uses her purification magic in hopes to save Noor. Her magic is not strong enough to do that, and as the black poison covers everything, Ini apologizes to Noor that she could not save him. Suddenly, a part of the black dragon's claw hits her barrier, and the poison cloud disappears. Noor is fighting against the dragon despite being severely poisoned. Seeing him like this, Ini realizes why the redhead warrior wanted Noor's help in troubling situations. She thinks that he is the ultimate shield who will protect people even at the cost of his life, but she thinks that he is not going to make it out alive. Meanwhile, Noor keeps on parrying the dragon's attacks. He counters it poison breath too, but gives the dragon an opening to attack him. He blocks the attack, but that is all he can do before falling to the ground. He puts his hand to his face, and after seeing traces of poisoned blood there, he thinks that he will somehow manage things this time. His life starts flashing before his eyes as he remembers how when he was young and returned back home after failing to get admissions in any of the adventuring schools, he started practicing and living on his own. One such day, just like every other morning, he went into the forest to forage some food and veggies to eat and ends up finding a huge haul and comes back home happy. He starts preparing everything when he realizes that he also had 2 plants that he didn't recognize but dissected to put them in the stew as well, thinking that at max, he will get a stomach ache, but after that everything would be fine. He couldn't have been more wrong, as immediately after tasting the stew, his body collapses on the floor, and he starts puking blood while wondering what the hell just happened to him. In the dim moonlight, he starts casting the low-level healing spell that he learned from the healers and crawls out of the house. By the time morning comes, he somehow manages to survive the night by constantly using healing magic and struggles to walk inside the house, where he starts to search for books on common poisonous plants. He immediately finds the plant known as Dragon's Fire and realizes that it is one of the deadliest plants in the forest, which his mother warned him about when he was young. Regardless of his condition, however, he decides to continue with his training and goes out into the forest with his sword, where he practices parrying but collapses once again because of his weakened state. He uses heal on himself once again and gets some rest, after which when he wakes up, he feels completely fine and healthy. He decides to head into the forest once again to get some healthy food and spots the Dragon's Fire plant once again, making sure he never makes the same mistake again. But unfortunately, a kinky snake ends up biting his ass, poisoning his entire body as he collapses to the ground unconscious once again. Surprisingly enough, he wakes up after a couple of minutes feeling completely fine and finds out that the snake is dead. He carries the dead snake home and decides to eat it, just to taste it. The next morning, he decides to intentionally get bitten by the same snake and realizes that this time it hurt less and he doesn't feel sick, which means that he is growing immune to the poison. This makes him really happy, as he hopes that if he keeps training, he might unlock a new skill. Ever since that day, he starts eating anything poisonous he could come across and even gulps down an entire Dragon's Fire plant again. He sometimes collapsed, sometimes puked blood, but always managed to survive through it. He never unlocked a new skill, but even after puking blood, he kept eating these poisonous things as he simply started liking the flavor. Back in the present, he gets back up, surprising everyone. But in his mind, he only thinks about how tasty this toad can be if he grilled it properly. He shakes away his sickness and his body soon nullifies the poison inside of him, while the healing spell he cast on the little boy saved him from the toxic fumes. The dragon is shocked to see the man still breathing and tries to claw him to death, but Noor is not a person to lose easily and keeps parrying the monster to a point where the claws on the monster's other hand are also broken. The boy looks at him in amazement. wondering how can a mere human fight against such a deadly monster without even batting an eye. But Noor doesn't even realize that this monster is actually a dragon, and thinks that this is how big toads are outside the jungles. The dragon decides to go all out on one final attack and takes a deep breath to shoot as much poison as possible. But Noor times his attack perfectly and hits him in the face just when the dragon was about to attack. This causes the dragon's attack to backfire as his body bloats up and it explodes into 1,000 pieces while the others watch in amazement. Noor immediately turns around to face the little boy who stands nervously, anticipating Noor to kill him as well. But Noor simply asks whether he is okay. This question surprises the demon boy while Noor asks what was he doing so close to that toad. The boy wonders why this man is calling the dragon a toad, but replies that he was taking it to the middle of the city. The boy expected Noor to get angry now, but Noor thinks that this boy is a farmer who must have raised this toad in a happy little farm and was taking it to the city to sell to restaurants to be cooked up into amazing dishes. This fills him with guilt as he immediately bows and apologizes for killing the toad and promises to pay him back, but will need time to collect the money. The boy is really confused at this point, but tells Noor that he doesn't want any money and he is thankful that Noor killed the dragon. Noor asks how was he moving with the giant toad as it didn't hurt him before, and the boy looks down nervously before replying that he can control monsters. He expected to finally find Noor angry at him, but Noor is simply amazed as he wonders how this little boy can control such a powerful beast. The boy replies that he was born with these powers, which surprises Noor as he thinks that this child must be gifted these powers by the gods themselves. The boy stammers but tells Noor the truth about himself, that he belongs to the clan of people called the demon folk by the humans. Noor is still completely clueless that the demon folks are heavily discriminated against and are treated like slaves, and replies that he wishes he could have been one of them, as then it would be very easy for him to have the animals help him in the field. He could have also sent messages by using birds and would have never had to worry about dogs and wolves attacking him at night. The demon boy is utterly confused by this time and asks Noor whether he doesn't hate the demon folk. Noor looks puzzled and asks why should he hate them, and the boy replies that every single human hates the demon folk as they are scared of their powers. Noor thinks about it and tells the boy that those humans are stupid as these powers seem incredibly useful, and if he had a choice he would have definitely wanted them as well. This really touches the boy, who starts tearing up, as this is the first time any human has ever treated like a living being and not a second-class creature that needs to be tortured. He asks Noor whether he can be useful to people as well, which confuses Noor, who wonders why this child who is gifted with power and so much more skilled than himself thinks so little about him. Noor wonders whether he had a terrible upbringing, but puts a hand on his head and tells him that he can definitely be very useful to people. Suddenly both Anise and Lin run towards Noor asking whether he was okay, but Noor replies that he is resistant to small amount of poisons, which shocks Lin as the dragon's poison breath is not just any poison, but the strongest poison in the world, which can kill the soil and trees as well. She can't understand how anyone can survive this when she realizes that there is only one way anyone could do this, and that's if they have practiced a single skill to such a degree that they have reached the title of a saint. But that's impossible, as even the instructor of the healing school had to practice 40 years continuously before achieving that power. Suddenly she notices the demon boy, and there is no doubt in her mind that he is a demon. She asks Noor what does he want to do with the child, and Noor replies that he wanted the boy to come with them, since he just disrupted the poor boy's toad delivery to the city. Anise immediately realizes that the demon was taking the dragon to the city in order to cause destruction, and immediately looks at him sharply, asking who ordered him to do that. The boy replies that he doesn't know the man, and Anise realizes that this boy is simply a slave who has been forced as a child soldier. She asks whether he knows where he came from, but the boy replies that he was blindfolded on the way, so he has no idea about it. Noor looks at Lin and asks her to take the boy to THGE nearby city at least, and Lin agrees. But Anise tells them that demon folk are not allowed in the kingdom of Mithra, and they will likely attack if the demon child was with them. Lin wonders whether they can somehow take the boy with them, when suddenly a man appears behind them holding a bunch of weapons, asking how the hell did they survive the dragon with a smile on his face. Noor wonder who this man might be, while the low-budget Gojo Satoru asks how the hell did the dragon die. Noor thinks that this might be the man who the toad was getting delivered to and apologizes by claiming that it was his fault that the delivery got destroyed and he will try to pay him back for it. The man looks amused by Noor and asks why he is apologizing to him and claims that he doesn't give a crap about the dragon as he is here for the demon boy. Noor misunderstands this, thinking that this man must be Rollo's guardian or something, and asks whether he is here to take him back to his hometown, while the man smirks, claiming that he would get a lot of money for the demon boy. Noor still doesn't understand when suddenly the knockoff Gojo jumps towards the boy with his weapon, ready to attack. But Noor manages to block and parry the attack at the last moment, while Aniz grabs Lin and jumps back to safety. Asking why is he defending the demon, Noor claims that Rollo is his friend, but Gojo tells him that he couldn't give a rat's ass since he just wants to bring the corpse of this boy to a noble who will pay him a lot of money. With that, Gojo attacks Noor once again, who starts blocking all the oncoming strikes while telling the blindfolded man to back off as he will not let him hurt Rollo. Discount Gojo doesn't seem to mind this challenge though and backs off before swiftly appearing above, but Noor parries the attack once again and this time breaks the enemy's weapon completely. Ini tells Lin to stand behind her at all times as this man is dangerous, while Gojo throws away his broken weapon and grabs 2 daggers from his sheath and attacks Noor once again with a barrage of hits, which Noor somehow blocks with the flat side of his sword and pushes him away once more. Gojo doesn't seem to be enjoying it as he claims that this time he will go all out and kill Noor as well if he doesn't hand over the boy. Noor braces for impact, not ready to give Rollo up, while Gojo runs with such surprising speed that Noor barely manages to parry the attack with his sword. But the attack was so heavy that it pushes Noor back and the shockwave knocks Rollo to the ground. Noor wonders how such a skinny man can hit harder than a cow, while Gojo realizes that his knife broke again. He grabs another knife and rushes towards Noor yet again and starts raining hellfire on him with every single attack. Noor keeps getting pushed back and realizes that he is simply fighting on instinct alone. Gojo gets impressed by Noor's tenacity and the ability to survive such deadly hits, while Lin realizes that the blindfolded man is increasing his intensity with every single attack. But Aniz immediately comes in front of her and creates a barrier, telling her to stay back as this can get very dangerous. She tells Lin that she can only think of one person who would wear such a weird-ass outfit, and the name of this man is Deadman Zadu, who was a former S-ranked adventurer. She remembers learning about him from the schoolmasters themselves, when she found his name in a book of ongoing cases, even though he was declared dead a while ago. One of the masters tell her that the man is known as the Deadman Zadu, who became an S-ranked adventurer at a very young age. But because of his evil mind, he soon became an S-rank fugitive. Gil seems to be interested by this, and asks whether he can take up the job to hunt this man down. Aniz asks if he was such a hero from the storybooks, then why was he ever kicked out of the city? One of the masters revealed that he didn't always use his powers for the good reason, and ended up killing 36 people of a common family over some dispute. Because of that, many people wanted his adventure card revoked. The blue-haired master who taught Gil how to fight told her that ever since that day, he started taking any jobs that would make him money, regardless of what it was. And one of the extreme example was that he managed to destroy an entire kingdom on his own and massacred the entire royal family as if they were some low-level goblins. Back in the present, Zadu keeps attacking Noor, getting surprised each time by his resilience. Noor feels bad for his broken blades and tells Zadu that he had no intentions of breaking them off, and will repay him. This amuses Zadu even more, but he decides to end this matter here and throws up his broken cross in the air, which starts glowing red and immediately transforms into 1,000 sharp metallic stakes. Noor realizes that he won't be able to deal with all of them, but tries to parry off most of them. Some of the crosses still pass through and stab him in the back. Lin realizes that he won't last much longer this way and decides to intervene finally. She attacks Zadu with some ethereal shields, giving Noor the opportunity to parry another volley of sharp crosses, while he covers Rollo to protect him from the rest. But thankfully, Lin blocks them all with her shield. Noor thanks her for the help, while she goes on the attack and starts shooting her shields at him. Surprisingly enough, this man is extremely nimble and uses his expert movement to bob and weave through each and every attack without any issues, while Aniz keeps defending against his crosses. She looks back at Noor and tells him that they need to escape this stalemate somehow, and suggests that Noor should focus on the attacks, while she deals with the defense. Noor has no idea how to lead an offense, as he only knows how to parry, but he decides to find out a way, and realizes that there are huge chunks of broken dragon claws on the ground. He tells her to remove the shields when he tells her to and grabs a bunch of small pieces of claws and starts throwing them at the crosses with his strength enhancement spells. It seems to be working as the crosses start getting destroyed, but Zadu takes advantage of this and tries to take Aniz out of the fight and nearly succeeds. But thanks to Noor's incredibly parry, she gets saved while Zadu breaks another blade. This really makes him think whether it's a good idea to fight while this weird man who can block his attacks is here. He tries once again with a sneak attack, but Noor manages to parry it. Zadu looks at him and claims that he is done for the day and will be taking his leave, but till he is with Rollo. he can't really do anything about it and escapes into a cloud of smoke. They all take a sigh of relief, but Rollo seems to be too scared to even talk, as he asks whether Noor is from the capital city. He tells them that it is going to be a massacre as he overheard some people claiming that a huge black dragon, several times stronger than the one he had, will be released on the city to cause destruction. This horrifies Lin, who tells Inez that they need to go back no matter what. Inez claims that they can't as Ray told her to keep Lin safe, but she claims that she would never be safe if the capital city falls. But with Noor, they might still have a chance to defend. Noor still doesn't seem to understand the gravity of the situation, but agrees to head back to the city. Meanwhile, back in the city, Ray observes the damage done to the town when a soldier reports that they were able to repel most of the enemy forces, thanks to the 6 schoolmasters, and the spies are still looking for more enemies, but they can't find any. Ray wonders from where they will get attacked now when he suddenly looks up. The soldier tells him that the hunters from the forests promised that they didn't see any aerial creature who can attack them, which calms Ray down a bit when he suddenly notices something weird in the sky. He immediately uses his magic to reveal what it is, and is shocked at the sight of a huge black dragon, which can probably destroy the entire kingdom alone. While on their way back to the capital city of their kingdom, Noor thinks about the time when his father was alive and told him about the story of the giant dragon of Calamity, who is one of the strongest beings alive, and how it wreaked havoc. But then one adventurer decided to be the hero they all needed and fought against the dragon valiantly, beheading it and saving the world from destruction. He remembers how badly he wanted to become a hero back then, but his thoughts of heroism are broken when he senses that something is wrong. Lin looks outside as well and at first sees nothing, but soon the barrier breaks and terror grabs her as she spots the huge black dragon of Calamity heading towards the city. The townspeople watch in horror as the dragon overshadows the entire town, while Ray stands there frozen with terror as he can't believe that the dragon is already above them. He asks the commander how the hell can the dragon attack them, since it's only been 150 years since it last went to sleep, and it should sleep for much longer. But the commander replies with fear that the enemy kingdom must have woken the dragon up intentionally. Ray can't believe that someone would pull out a breathing nuke on a mere conflict between 2 nations, but remembers the history of USA and Japan and immediately realizes that they need to evacuate everyone quickly. The other headmasters are shocked to see the huge beast as well, but realize that someone has sealed all the exits with mana to delay evacuations while more and more monsters emerge, forcing the headmasters to deal with them. Back in the countryside, Lin feels lost as Inez looks at the disaster unfold, claiming that they can't really do anything about it now. While they have already accepted defeat, Noor is just happy to see a dragon for the first time in his life, which shocks the others as they wonder whether this idiot doesn't know that he just defeated a dragon by himself. Noor doesn't seem to be scared and claims that he thinks he can reach the city before it gets attacked if he runs fast enough. This takes Lin by surprise, who wasn't even thinking about still defending, but Noor claims that if she uses the wind blast on him, he can probably reach the city very quickly. Back inside the city, the king walks up to the tower, thinking about the threat that the enemy king made about having enough power to destroy him easily if he didn't give up the privileges of the lost dungeon. But the king decided to refuse their requests, and now blames himself for all this death and destruction. He walks over with a sword ready in his hand to face the results of his foolishness and decides to do as much damage as he can to the dragon before he dies. Back in the countryside, Noor puts his plan in action as he stands in front of Inez's cylindrical shield, which can concentrate Lin's magic. They all get ready as Lin supersets multiple enchantments at once, producing her strongest wind blast ever, which shoots Noor into the sky like Team Rocket, and he disappears. Back at the tower, the king gets ready to face death when the dragon starts charging an attack, which totally stuns him, while others on the ground realize that the dragon is charging his strongest beam, which destroyed an entire continent the last time it was used. But the king stands strong and takes out a special golden dagger, ready to attack. All of the headmasters watch this battle unfold and realize that the king is using all his life force in a single attack in the hopes of injuring the dragon as much as possible. But before they could have their duel, Noor ends up hitting the dragon on accident. But the strike is so hard that the dragon ends up shooting its beam in the air and falls to the ground, while the king stands shocked. When the dust clears, the dragon gets up, made with rage, and tries to crush Noor beneath his tail, but Noor manages to block the attack while it flattens any houses that were unfortunate enough to be in its way. The dragon is shocked at this but decides to attack again. Only this time, Noor manages to parry the attack full force, knocking the dragon to the dirt immediately. He remembers how terrifyingly strong the wind blast was as he got knocked out for a moment, but managed to get back on its feet and use the momentum to run up to the city walls before jumping in. But he didn't realize that the dragon was right there, and and would have crashed headfirst if not for his sword, which blocked the blow and saved his life. By the time the dragon got up again, Inez and Lin were also running in the city trying to help the survivors, but they get attacked by boulder thrown towards them, which Inez barely manages to block. Lin immediately gets up ready to face whatever was coming her way, and the enemies turn out to be goblin kings. These were not as big as the ones she and Nor faced in the forest, but still were incredibly strong. Lin decides to calm down and remembers the words of Nor, that they are just goblins. With that, she starts shooting them with her ice spears, but it barely scratches them as they rush towards them, while Inez fortifies their defense. Before they could attack though, the demon boy uses his special powers to stop them in their tracks, after which Lin uses her ice blast to freeze them up, while Inez creates an ethereal sword and slashes them to pieces. Lin looks at the little boy and realizes that the demon folk must have an incredible number of magical powers, if just a boy can stop 3 goblin kings in their track. She then turns her attention towards the dragon, who keeps trying to attack Nor with its claws, but no matter how many times it attacks, Nor always manages to parry the attacks, injuring the claws and the scales of the dragon again and again. The dragon is surprised to find him injured for the first time in its life, while Nor wonders what kind of material is the sword made of, as it refuses to break or chip, no matter how he uses it. He realizes that till he has the sword, this dragon can do nothing against him, but the dragon has other plans, and it immediately takes to the sky, flying out of reach, and starts charging another massive death ray to demolish the entire continent in a single blow. And this time the king realizes that they are done for as the dragon shoots the beam at the ground, but Nor stays where he was and parries the attack once again. To everyone's surprise, the beam actually gets deflected and shoots into the sky before exploding in a massive fire blast enough to destroy half the world. The dragon descends back on Earth, mad with rage, unable to understand how this puny human is able to block his attacks, and, in its anger, he tries to scratch Nor once again, but Nor calmly parries the hit just like before, and the dragon's claw ends up breaking and falling to the ground. Everyone watches in wonder as the dragon falls to the ground in front of Nor as his eyes turn from bright red to a normal color. Rollo realizes that the dragon seems to have calmed down, and this is the posture to admit defeat. Ray and the others who were evacuating the people outside watch in amazement with their jaws open, as they wonder how the hell can a dragon be subdued by a single man, while the words of his father echo through Nor's mind as he remembers the story about how the hero beheads the dragon and takes away all its claws and scales, which bring peace and prosperity in the country. He thinks whether he has the guts and the ability to look another way and slay a living being just to attain fame and fortune alongside the title of being a hero, as he has always wanted to be one ever since he could read the storybooks. After thinking about it for a long while, he sits down with his sword by his side as he smiles at the dragon, claiming that he can never become a dragon-slaying hero, and the dream that he had as a boy should stay a dream, as only then he can continue on his journey of becoming a better human and becoming one of the strongest fighters the world has ever seen. Lin breaks out of her shock and immediately runs towards Nor, asking if he is okay, while Nor turns around and waves at them joyfully as the situation is completely under control. Everyone looks at Nor in awe, while he tells them that he is fine, and then turns towards Rollo, thanking him for saving the day. Rollo is confused at this and asks what the hell does he mean. It turns out that Nor thinks Rollo is the one who mind-controlled the huge dragon and saved Nor's life, otherwise he would have died. Rollo immediately refuses, claiming that he didn't control the dragon at all, which confuses Nor as he definitely felt the dragon losing his will to fight at the end. Suddenly, he remembers Rollo telling him about how people are scared of his powers, and he comes to the conclusion that Rollo is simply scared that people will think he is super dangerous as he controlled the giant dragon, and that's why he doesn't want to take the responsibility. Nor smiles and winks at Rollo before telling them that they need to do something with the dragon, and the best way to deal with the situation is for Rollo to control its mind again and send it back to where it once came from. Inez is shocked at this and claims that the dragon just tried to destroy the entire continent, and Nor understands that much. He knows the safest way would be to kill the dragon immediately, but he doesn't want to take the life of a living creature if he could avoid it. Lin thinks about reminding him of all the animals that he has already eaten and shat out without wiping, but decides to let it go, and claims that they will do what he wants to do since he is the one who defeated the beast. She turns to Rollo asking whether he could take care of the dragon, and he agrees hesitantly. He moves forward and airdrops his thoughts into the dragon, who replies that he will do whatever his master commands him to do. Inez and Lin are shocked to know that Nor is now the master of the strongest dragon, but this dipshit doesn't realize that and thinks that Rollo is so strong that he completely got the dragon under his command. He instructs Rollo to tell the dragon that he should return back to his home and never hurt anyone ever again. Rollo looks back and starts talking to the dragon once again, and the dragon immediately agrees to obey all the commands lands and takes to the air, becoming a bad case of CGI before flying away. Nor watches the beast fly away from the city when suddenly a bright pink light charges towards the dragon and blasts it into a burning pile of flesh as it falls to the ground. Nor is completely shocked at this, wondering who could do this. And it turns out that this was done by the enemy king, who is armored and ready with an army of his own filled with soldiers wielding all kind of weapons, including heavy-duty artillery straight from the land of freedom. The king seems to be very pleased with himself as he remembers how expertly he crafted his strategies and created a bunch of magic weapons, including a railgun which is capable of destroying even one of the strongest creatures alive. He thinks that the kingdom must have been destroyed by the dragon already, and they can simply enter and claim that their army killed the dragon and saved every single person, which would make the locals choose him as their king. Suddenly, he notices a bunch of people standing on top of a hill nearby, inspecting the supposed corpse of the dragon. He doesn't recognize Rollo or Nor, but he immediately recognizes Lin as the princess and Inez, the legendary warrior. He thinks that she might be the only reason why the city is not completely razed to the ground. He decides to deal with Inez as well right here right now, and orders the railgun to be charged once again and blasts it at Nor and his party. Inez is shocked to see a huge ray of purple light rushing towards her at an incredible speed. She realizes that she can't dodge it. But thankfully for her, Nor the absolute mad lad comes in clutch once again as he blocks the beam before parrying it back into the sky. The king is shocked to see Inez still alive and demands to know what went wrong, while the soldiers apologize, thinking that they must have misfired because of bad aim. Nor doesn't realize what he just did and wonders what the hell was that light coming their way, and why are so many soldiers preparing to launch an attack so suddenly. Inez finally reveals the truth to Nor, claiming that their kingdom has entered into war against the enemy kingdom of Derek, as they can't take a stand against 10,000 soldiers. Lin suggests that they should fall back from this position and meet up with her brother Ray before deciding what to do further, and Nor agrees with the plan. Before they could even move though, another volley of attacks come their way, but this time Inez is prepared and creates a bunch of shields in front of them, blocking all the hits. Nor realizes that they won't be able to move if this keeps happening, so he comes up with the plan to distract the enemies while the others ran away. He is not too confident about his ability to fight, but he knows that he is excellent at running away, since that's what he has been doing ever since he was young. He remembers about the time when he used to try and gather honey, but his dumbass would always irritate the bees who attacked him in a swarm, forcing him to run away every single day. Compared to that, this army must be much slower, so he has confidence in his chances to run away. Unfortunately for him, Lin ends up misunderstanding him and thought that Nor is so confident in his strength that he wants to take the army head on immediately. She comes behind him and tells him to get ready. Nor was confused but believed that she might want to put some defensive spells on him, but he soon realizes that she is trying to launch him straight into the enemies. He tries to stop her, but Rollo cuts him off, claiming that they are shooting the rail gun again. This is really bad timing as he tries to tell Lin that they should all run, but it's too late as she uses one of her strongest wind blasts on his back, launching him into air at an incredible speed. He tries to regain his balance, trying to figure out the best way to escape, but the laser beams immediately start falling down on him. He closes his eyes and swings his sword, only to realize that he can easily parry them. That was all he needed as he starts parrying all the blasts before falling back on Earth. He maintains his speed and keeps running towards the army, parrying and blocking any attacks coming his way. He realizes that his speed is too quick for him to change direction, so he has no option but to go all out against the enemies. The soldiers are shocked to see this madman running towards them, and they take out their weapons, but Nor immediately uses his parry, disarming thousands of them at once, followed by another parry, disarming anyone who came in his way. He keeps parrying and running through the enemies, which shocks the king as he wonders what the hell is going on. But soon he sees Nor jumping towards them. Nor doesn't even waste any time and starts dealing with the remaining soldiers, while the disarmed swords start falling back to the ground, injuring any soldier who was unfortunate enough, which was soon followed by a rain of shields which crushed all of them. The king was unable to believe what was happening in front of him, as soon enough even artillery started falling down around him, while the remaining soldiers stood there confused. Soon enough, Nor managed to disarm and incapacitate every single soldier in the enemy king's army before rushing towards the enemy king. The king is shocked as he wonders what kind of a monster is this man, while Nor breathes heavily. The king gets terrified when Nor turns towards him and in his mind thinks that Nor is coming towards him to end his filthy, disgusting life. While pissing his pants or his armor, the king remembers that he still has his fancy sword, so he takes it out against Nor, but Nor ignores him just like my ex ignored me and moves ahead, destroying all the remaining railguns. The king is traumatized as he looks at the marvelous machines that he bought from Uncle Sam, which now lay on the ground completely ruined. When finally Nor returns and stands in front of the king with his sword on the ground. Suddenly, the king remembers seeing the sword in the king's throne when he once visited this kingdom, and wonders what the hells is this man doing here holding the sword that King Clay found. Even he had to use 2 hands to use the sword, but this monster has used the sword with a single hand, defeating his entire army on all his own. This makes the enemy king give himself a golden shower once again, after which he runs towards his horse before rushing off, while wondering whether Nor would follow him or not. If you liked this video, you would love the story about this F-ranked adventurer who finds an S-ranked goddess and becomes the strongest hero. If you liked this video, you would love the story about this F-ranked adventurer who finds an S-ranked goddess and becomes the strongest hero.